I now call this committee of the whole meeting of the Davenport Community School District Board of Directors to order. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For the record, I do want to note that Director Karen Gordon is participating remotely tonight, and I will try to remember to call on her. All right. First subject up is discuss purchase of Halo system safety and vape smart sensors. I will turn it over to the superintendent.
Tonight, Josh and Sergeant Nyrink, even though he's retired from the police department, he's always going to be Sergeant Nyrink to me. Our Director of Security is here to talk about a product that we've actually seen demoed and is being used all throughout the country in one of our problem areas in our schools, which are now our bathrooms, which I don't think is a new concept. But this product really does allow us to link up to our current security systems and also provide some additional safety measures to our students. So, Sergeant, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, TJ. So with our camera systems in our buildings and just the amount of staff in the building, hallways, all those other areas we're able to cover, keep an eye on pretty well. Obviously, when class is in session, when classes are passing, we're able to keep eyes on a lot of places. Bathrooms can be a struggle for us at times just because of having to watch the masses, and there's a few that go in the bathroom, and we don't want to, obviously people go in there for the right reasons. But that being said, kids have figured out that that's the place to go for certain activities. Vaping is a huge problem, not just with us, across the country. Statistics show that about 30% of kids have vaped in the last 30 to 60 days. About 12% of our population vapes on a daily basis, all right? So not only are they vaping, they could be vaping nicotine, they could also be vaping THC. The other things that go on in the bathroom are when our kids decide they want to be in a mutual fight, that's a place to go where they're out of sight. We also have assaults that take place. Obviously, we know the difference between an assault and a fight. A fight's when they're like, they agree to go there and do it. It's still wrong. An assault is when I'm looking for a specific person and I want to hurt them, and I figure out when they're going to be there and try and make that happen, unfortunately. The other thing that we've experienced is vandalism in our bathrooms. It started with the TikTok challenge last fall, and it never stopped for us. Brenda, can you open that? So these are just a few photos of some of the damages in our bathrooms in our high schools. We've also experienced it in the intermediates, not to the level that we have in the high schools. So obviously this is a huge problem when things like this happen. That bathroom now is out of commission until we can get it fixed. Luckily, the majority of the time we can fix it in-house, so we don't have to wait for a contractor to come, but it is an issue. So John Flynn, actually, when he was still in his position as the principal at Central, he's the one that first talked to me about, hey, can we look into vape sensors, vape detectors? And there's all kinds of different products out there on the market. What's different with the Halo system is it's more than just a vape detector. It monitors the air quality. It can detect gunshots because it has a decibel sensor in it, so it can detect gunshots, acts of aggression. If there's vandalism going on in there, it can detect that. It also picks up on keywords, and we can select what those words are. So like kill, shoot, kill, help. So it also picks up on things like that. So if somebody's in the bathroom and that's going on, the Halo will pick up on that. Now, the Halo does a couple different things. One is that it will send an audio alert to the people in the bathroom that, you know, we've detected an issue going on in here. Staff is being alerted. And then what the Halo does is it two different things. There's an app, so it can go to your cell phone, but it also can go to your desktop. And it will send the alert as to which bathroom it is where the problem is at, so that we can have staff respond. It will also integrate into our camera system, so it'll make sure that camera system is activated that would be in the vicinity of that bathroom, so we could say who comes in or who goes out in case people leave before we can respond. What we've done is we've picked Central, North, and West. Initially, we thought about just doing one building, but with the amount of vandalism that we had at all three buildings and the other activities, the assaults, the fights that were going on, and the vaping, we really thought, let's try and do all three of our high schools at the same time. Just 4 bathrooms per high school. Obviously, we have more bathrooms than that, but to start with 4 bathrooms to see, is this something that's going to help us get a handle on this to decrease this behavior? I would hope that once they become aware that, hey, these are here, we can't do these things here, that it will decrease that. You'll notice the total number, it says 22 altogether is what we would purchase. The reason for that is they cover certain square footage areas. So some of our bathrooms require 2 as opposed to having 1. So like all the bathrooms, the 4 bathrooms at Central, each need 2 detectors for us to be effective in that space. I talked to the SRO from North Scott, because North Scott installed halos. They went active right after spring break, so late March. They were having a big problem with vaping out there and with kids vaping things other than nicotine, that had resulted in 27 trips by the fire department and the ambulance to their school before they put Halo in. So for the year up to March, 27 trips. Since they put Halo in, they've had no more trips, no more calls for that. The cost, the initial cost, is $51,358.38. Then there is an expenditure every 2 years of $5,524.20. That's for their cloud service, because it links in a building. It links them all together so that it makes it easier for us on the app. So if I have the app on my phone, it's going to show me which one. I don't have to have a separate app for each device. It can be the same thing with your desktop.
Can you repeat the numbers again?
Yes. $51,358.38. And then there would be a fee every 2 years of $5,524.20. Now, one thing I would say to think about with that expenditure every 2 years, the amount of vandalism in our bathrooms at our 3 high schools, this is just scratching the surface of that total cost. So if it makes that problem go away or greatly diminishes it, in the long run, it could be that $5,000 every couple of years, maybe a cost savings to us, because we're not having the vandalism take place.
I believe some of this can be covered from ESSER funds as well. So, and then Pepple can cover that software expense down the road. So that annual fee can be covered by that. The goal, the nice thing about this is to be preventative. So that's really what the goal is here, to prevent kids from even getting in these positions in the first place.
Are you ready for questions? Director Hayes.
Thank you, Andy, for the presentation. Could you please go back and talk more about the keywords? What do? Program it to hear certain words, and also it's almost, to me, sounds like it's defeating the purpose if it alerts the individuals in there what's going on?
So there is the option to shut that notification off. And I guess what we have to think about is we would like the behavior not to happen. We'd like to prevent it. And I'm hoping that by them hearing that this is happening, it's like, to me, it's no different than if I'm a burglar and I'm break into a place and it's got an alarm, I'm leaving. I'm not gonna. So I would hope that alert stops that. I think of it was a mutual fight that we had in one of our bathrooms at one of our high schools this last year that got pretty ugly, and it lasted for quite a while, but we weren't aware of it. There's a few kids in there that. A couple of things is one is we would have responded and been able to stop it before it got to where it did. But also them hearing that alert that we're coming would have hopefully stopped that behavior before we even got there.
So is it in a sense that you can maybe turn it on and turn it off?
Correct.
Okay.
Director Beck.
Thank you for this presentation. So I have a couple questions. So the first one is about privacy. When you're programming in keywords, I guess that makes me a little bit nervous. Obviously, I can't really think of a perfectly good reason why somebody would use a word like shoot or something like that. But on the other hand, if somebody's discussing, words do come up in normal conversation that in some contexts would be a trigger word. And so I would
Hang on real quick. I probably wouldn't discuss the words that you're going to use because you probably don't want that out, and I don't want to lead into that discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. I just meant like people can have conversations about whatever, all sorts of things. So I wouldn't want to think about keywords. I'm thinking about violating students' privacy or ability to speak freely by programming in words. Does that make sense?
Yes. And a couple of things is it's understand that when it sends that alert, we're not going to hear what the conversation is that's going on in there because it doesn't record it. It just alerts us that something has been said in there. So that's one thing to think about. The other thing is you can program it so specifically, and I would double check with the person from Tri-City Electric that I've been working with, but I'm pretty sure the way you can set it up so it's kind of how the word is. It's not just the word alone, it's kind of like the context that it's used in.
Okay.
And I can find that out for sure.
I guess my other question then would be the decibel detection, what if people are just loud? And is there, I mean, I don't know how loud it is to vandalize a bathroom compared to people yelling at each other compared to.
There would be there'll probably be a learning curve there for us as far as, because we can set it as to be as sensitive as we want or for it to have to get to a higher level. So we can
It's all
we can
customized.
adjust that, right? We can adjust those things.
Okay. And
There'll be a learning curve.
sorry, my last question is, when you, well, I guess might not be something to answer right now, but I guess why not just blanket the system now? Because if students know which bathrooms it is, won't they?
That's a very good question, and I mean it's certainly something we could look at. Part of with doing it this way was our thought. We want to make sure that it works before we spend all this money. We want to make sure that it's being effective.
I think we're targeting particular areas of the building too that we've had previous issues at.
Director Posture.
How easily could students disable this?
So they're mounted up in the ceiling. They look pretty much like almost like a smoke detector. So they could vandalize it. It's possible. Yeah, it will alarm. It's a sensor. So if somebody's tampering with it, it's going to alarm and let us know that's happening.
I don't know if you mentioned this earlier on the beginning, but it connects with our camera system, so it allows us to see who's going in and out at the time of that alert. And so while it might not prevent some of the things, but it will allow people to know and understand that this is being captured, who is entering and coming out of the restaurant.
Is there something, now you mentioned Tri-City Electric, so if there's any issues or anything, they will be the ones that will service it then, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Director Potts.
The other half of deterrent is consequences. And I would assume that we would be looking at some stiff consequences for students that are doing these things, and that those consequences would be coordinated to be the same in all of our buildings. And that we wouldn't be doing the, go and sin no more. This was just the first time.
Yeah, that would fall in line with the major minor conversation that we're having. That would be aligned across the district. This would definitely give us the tools and understanding to begin to have that conversation with the students and the families and align the appropriate consequences.
Director Klein-Jerome.
Who will get the alerts? All staff or just certain staff?
No, we would. Our plan would be that it would be principals, associate principals, your campus security officers. If you want to include the SROs, we can. If you don't want to include them, I mean, I guess if our campus, there's two schools of thoughts. Number one, our campus security, they're going to respond. Principals are going to respond. But then again, I think about that. If it's an assault going on that's in progress, I mean, the officer may not, him responding could be a good thing. It doesn't mean he has to take action as far as a charge, but it's that extra body getting there. They may be closer than anybody else. So.
And we have similar protocols with this with our P3 app. So our building leaders are used to getting an alert and responding appropriately for an alert.
Director Gordon, did you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Director Hayes.
And looking at the two sensors, one of them is like plain and one of them has like a video recorder. Were there different, which one were you looking at?
There is no video recorder because it's in a restroom.
Okay. That's what I was getting.
Right. There's because of obviously privacy issues, there is no.
Any other questions? You answered a few of mine. How much? Just looking at the pictures, I'm gonna say that was well over the 60 grand we're gonna spend in the first 2 years. I'm gonna say it was probably double that. Just the pictures there. Because toilets are about $400, and then you gotta pay someone to install it. And yeah. And then you would only is the game plan to see how these works, and then you would, because I know during the presentation you were talking about at the intermediate level as well. So the high schools is to give it a trial run, and then is it, if we already have the system installed, is it cheaper for us to add more to it, or is it going to be like having to start a whole new thing again? Would they be able to tap into the same at that height? So say it was at Central or North or West, would it be, if they went to add more for the other bathrooms, it can be still in that same system, or do we have to upgrade that to equip that amount? Do you get what I'm saying?
I think the cloud storage would have to increase, but the main cost is involved in how far the wire poles are from our servers and things like that. So It really depends on the building and location of the bathrooms. So it could be cheaper because we already have the wiring pulled for a long section, and the next building we may not have pulled it very far, and then we have to add a big section in. So a large amount of the cost is that part of the project.
Okay. So
Getting the data wires and
you're
stuff.
kind of leading into my answering my question. So would it be smarter if you got to do the long pole to put pigtails off of those to, I mean,
Yeah.
if it winds up working out rather than, that'd be like us doing work at a building and then taking all the equipment out and then coming back 6 months later to do it when we could have did it all at once while the equipment was there.
I mean, that's a simple question to ask the contractor if, you know, they can put a junction box in there. So when it's time to run the next feed, we can hook into that wire right there.
Yeah, I just figured I'd ask because I imagine some of the bathrooms are probably further apart that when you're pulling it, you could put a junction box in closer for the other ones. Because if it winds up working out, has it been successful at North Scott, you said?
Yes, yes, they're very happy with the results.
Okay. I don't know about anybody else in here, but I don't sit in the bathroom and carry on a conversation with anybody. Go in and do my business and get out. So if people are in there having conversations, at least this way, it gets them back to class where they should be learning, and not hanging out with their friends talking about what they're doing on the weekend and everything else. So hopefully that helps out with that too. Any other questions? And is this going to come to us at the... Does that give you enough time to get the answers on the other things? Would it be, I would hope it wouldn't be that much more of a cost to add junction boxes.
No, it wouldn't be much more.
Okay.
No.
Does anyone have any other questions that you would like answered before next Monday when this will come? I appreciate you all looking into this. I think this is a good system to have, especially with the vaping thing that's going on and especially all the vandalism. If they would just shut TikTok down, it would eliminate a lot of problems. Thank you very much. Next item will be the mission statement development. I will turn it over to the superintendent.
Mike and his team at TAG led us through a very productive meeting down at the LULAC Center. I want to thank LULAC for having us down. It was a wonderful meeting. Since then, they've put together some draft statements. So Mike's going to lead us through a pretty simple exercise. The protocol for tonight is that Mike's going to briefly describe what we have in front of us. Then we're going to kind of divide up, discuss any kind of feedback that we have for Mike and his team. They will then take the feedback, make a draft, and then take it to the policy committee. And then the policy committee will review that and determine next steps for recommendation to the board. So those are the steps that the agenda planning committee. Did I miss step? Oh, I thought you said. Sorry, Brenda. I said something. So, Mike, without anything else, I'll turn it over to you for tonight.
All righty, thank you, TJ. First things first. Thank you for allowing us to participate with you in this exercise. These are always fun. The challenge with these, though, which turns to be its greatest opportunity, is kind of taking everything that you learn and funneling it down into a message that's concise and to the point, and delivers a bit of a view of the mission at hand, while incorporating elements of passion and enthusiasm and energy all day long. We weren't shy of notes. It was a great meeting that we had at LULAC. Everybody participated. Everybody provided and shared their sense of the district and what we are and what we can be, and we found that quite fun, very enjoyable. I have Sean Lurie with me here tonight. He was a member of the team that night, and he'll be here to help us with this brief exercise. I'd like to jump right into it and then share with you a little bit of a rationale as to the creation of this draft. Again, these are truly in part your words, but maybe put into a little bit of a different order than you might recall sharing them. So if you'll bear with me, I'll just try and read this back to you so that you might get a sense of the flow and the timbre. The mission statement: the Davenport Community School District is dedicated to growing excellence in academics, the arts, and athletics for every child by ensuring the highest quality education in an environment shaped by our diverse community preparing our students to be lifelong learners and productive citizens. Now, that mission boils down a whole lot of information share. It takes a whole lot of detail and a whole lot of vision and tries to put it into a message that can be consumed and accepted easily. But that's based on what we call three guiding principles, what we're going to call our pillars of guiding principle, which are collaboration, opportunity, and transparency. Again, three words that came back to us over and over in that conversation. Collaboration in the sense that we foster an environment that allows students, families, and community stakeholders to come together for the betterment of our students' education and future. Again, there was conversation and anecdotal story after story about how this district has been formed and functioned over the years with the participation of everybody, including the extended community and the stakeholders involved. So we felt that it was important to identify and acknowledge their participation in that process. From an opportunity perspective, we provide abundant opportunities to empower students to reach their full potential academically, creatively, and socially. Again, opportunity is a key component to the educational process. The district prides itself on being able to present a multitude of opportunities for learning on many fronts. But this also invites the student to participate in that process. They are a part of this formula as well. In transparency, we share relevant and important information with our students, families, and the community to maintain open and productive communication. It's an ongoing commitment that the district has put forth for many years now of maintaining that level of transparency with the community and assuring the community that it's going to remain there. Any questions?
Question. Do you see the guiding principles being like our current vision statement? I mean, because we have a mission statement and a vision statement. When you put that together, is that kind of moving that direction? Or?
Sure. As we've drafted this, the mission is your mission vision statement in itself. They're for all intents and purposes, one and the same thing. Your mission is your vision. The guiding principles are the arsenal that we carry with us, the things that shape that mission that we use as points of focus. Collaboration is a focus for us. Creating opportunity is a focus, and being transparent as we do this work all day long also continues to feed that same measure of momentum. And again, these were all things that we had heard from our conversation. They all came from your discussion.
Director Gordon, did you have anything on that?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Director Beck.
One of the things we have to be conscious of is the fact that this ends up getting incorporated into policy. And so I don't know, when we say ensuring the highest quality education in an environment, if we should, because, there may be a day when that doesn't happen, right? In this spot or that spot, and some kid doesn't get the highest quality environment, education, by some definition. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a classroom shut down or something like that. So I don't know if maybe this is the place to use language like working toward or striving for, or if it's appropriate to say ensuring, because that's certainly what we want. So is the mission statement basically what we expect to do, or does it say what we are doing? Or I just want to make sure we're legally in compliance when we have our statement written, if that makes sense.
Yes and yes. The mission statement is yours. It's whatever you want it to be. In a practical sense, the mission is, yes, what we intend to do. That's our action statement. There are always it's not a written guarantee. It's not a price guarantee. But it is our mission of existence as an enterprise. That's why we're here. If there were no other questions, what I was hoping to do is maybe have us break up into 3 little groups here, and you guys could chat about this amongst yourselves, and then we could kind of gather back and round back with some questions that might be a little bit deeper, or some input for additional change. Does that work for you guys? Okay. Well, if we could just kind of pair off here, maybe 5 minutes enough? All right. Thank you. Alrighty. How would we like to maybe share thoughts now individually or as groups? Okay. Would you like to go first? You guys.
We discussed it and read it over. We thought it's perfect as printed. I mean, we thought that's the mission statement we thought was elegantly simple and really conveyed what our goal, what our function, what our purpose as a school district should be. And the guiding principle, that collaboration, opportunity, and transparency, that's gravy to the whole thing because it ties it all together. And as you pointed out, it also ties with the wall. So no,
Another metaphor for the use of guiding principles with a mission vision is Sean said into my ear here when we were in that little session there. If the mission vision is the engine, the guiding principles are the fuel that help power, metaphorically speaking. So.
Well, and we also thought maybe drop the priorities and vision statement and instead go mission statement, guiding principles. You know, to replace those, just use this.
Dr. Beck? Okay.
As Alice and I discussed, I'm not a big fan of mission statements, and I don't think that's a surprise to everybody else. I understand why we need one, but I want to thank Mike and your staff. I think you did an excellent job of putting together what everyone kind of voiced at the previous meeting. The one thing that really just popped out at me was at the end of the mission statement is productive citizens. Okay, so that should be our mission statement, goal, whatever. We want our students to be productive citizens and not a drain on society. The other thing under guiding principles, I think the big thing there is opportunity, and where you say empower students. This school district provides all kinds of opportunity, but sometimes where we run into trouble is how do we get them to take advantage of those opportunities? In order to take advantage of those opportunities, you have to be in class. I mean, if you're not in class, how can you take advantage of it? And so again, that's been something that, I've been big on for a long time is we've got to get these kids in a classroom. Otherwise, how do we make all this work? But again, I think we were in agreement that I don't think we change anything. So I think give your staff a lot of credit for putting that together.
And the only thing I would add to that is the productive citizens line gives us an opportunity to bring in our community stakeholders, like we talked about, sort of what would you expect a productive citizen to be able to do, right? And that's where we can bring in the LCAC, and some of the other groups that we had potentially, we had talked about including in on this process. So for, that other part of it where we said, we expect students to do this, that, or the other. But this is, and where that would fit in, I don't know necessarily. Maybe just the bubble on the wall, but yeah, we agreed this is fantastic. So thank you.
We all agreed the same. We liked it. The only thing we had talked about is like the guiding principles, maybe putting them into bullet points. And then it looks a little cleaner on the policy when it goes in there, whatever, it's a bullet point, boom. These are our things, but yeah, we liked everything on it. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to that, but thank you all for your hard work on this, and we appreciate it. She's good. Yeah. Yep. TJ called her. She's good.
One more thing we forgot, sorry. Kent just reminded me, we both thought that the opportunity principle was really the one that, because it says empower students, that's really what stuck out to us. And so we might even, we thought maybe we should even have that one first, because that's the first one that people see, right? Opportunity, we give you the opportunity, then we collaborate with you, and we make sure that we maintain that communication about it.
Noted.
Although I have to say, the way it's written now rolls off the tongue a little easier.
Well, I think someone needs to etch this into a plaque. The first time in history someone's done mission and vision work this fast. So, you guys did understand the assignment, as Vice President said.
Well, if I might add too, you guys gave us some great material. I mean, the fact that this body has a passion for its role is evident. So that makes it a lot easier. And you are certainly united in your thought at the same time, and that makes the job easier. So we appreciate that greatly.
Yeah, so now Mike will take the feedback that is given, put together a final draft. It'll go before the policy committee next Wednesday, and then it'll be put on a board agenda or recommendation from the policy committee.
We can send that up tomorrow.
Will we have to go through first reading and second reading on this?
I think, Brenda, can we count cow meeting as a reading? Oh, then this would be first reading. And so we would just need one reading and a vote. And there have been situations where we do the second reading at the part of the meeting, and then we vote on it later in the same meeting, but we can definitely get it done this month.
To answer your question, Director Potts, we can get it done next Monday. Director Potts, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.